I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to try and, we're just going to briefly touch it. So just so that you know, we'll, just briefly go through what they are. So the question here is, how do you tell a stranger, a friend, or a family member, so this goes right through the whole gambit of people, that they may need help mentally? I found that whether it's someone that's really close to us or a stranger, whoever, we never point out what the issue is, because that is the greatest way to stigmatize and put people in boxes. Because the reality is we are all broken people. We all have issues some way or the other. And I think really love and acceptance triumphs any kind of help we can give someone. So if we just love people, we will lead them to getting the help that they need. So love people. People may not always realize that they need help, but be a friend to them. Hear their story. Help them. Be that listening ear. As we actually do that, people will come to their own realization that they need help that goes beyond your capacity to give them. And then we can gently suggest them to get help at the most appropriate places. So we never point out or stigmatize people, and I think that's what the world does so often, right? Pagal hai. What are you talking about, And as soon as we do that, we've closed the door. Anyone that could or want to get help no longer is listening to you, And then the other question was, how do I handle my son who's addicted to smoking and weed? Addictions very often are a result of people trying to self-medicate, where they have an issue, they have pain that's overwhelming, and they don't know how to deal with it. So you find that a majority of people who are addicted to, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever, compulsive behavior they may have, there's an underlying pain that they're trying to deal with, but they either can't articulate that pain and they don't know what to do. Therefore, they self-medicate. They take something to numb the pain. I think in many ways it's just creating an environment where people are aware that there is help available, and gently leading people, because you can never help someone that doesn't want to be helped. We just can't. No one can help someone that doesn't want to be helped. But when they come to the realization that, yes, my life is not working, can you help me? That's when the door opens. And that's where you as a parent, as a friend, should arm yourself with the information of where to direct them, so that you're prepared in advance. You're praying, you're waiting, you're loving, you're accepting, until the day the person says, can you get me some help? And then you're not wondering, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? You've got it together. You say, yeah, I think I know someone that could help. Let's make an appointment. Let's see someone. So you've done your part. Beena, do you want to answer some of your questions?
How to find out the symptoms of anxiety, and how do you deal or handle anxiety? Most of the time, anxiety is a normal emotion, but there is a time when this becomes a kind of hindrance in your daily walk. You find yourself worrying too much. You find yourself getting nervous way too much. It could be something as simple as, say I had to come up here on stage. I would have a certain amount of anxiety, and I have dealt with it this morning. But it could come to a place where you're not able to see clearly, you're not able to focus at all. Anything out of the normal, it is stopping you from doing your day-to-day activity. If it is a worry, if it is an action, then you must be aware that that there is a problem. It's one of the signs of anxiety. Your body is something that will revolt when you have taken enough of the worry. When you worry, there's a certain chemical that is produced in your head, and it is not the happy hormone or the happy chemical, so it puts your body in distress. So your body will start giving out signs, one of them being the heart pounding, or the blurring of the vision, or unable to hold a steady gaze, your hands shivering. These are some of the classic symptoms.
I think what Beena said is so clear, that we all worry about things from time to time, right? I mean, all of us do. But it's when it interferes with your ability to live life. That's the warning sign. That's when you say, okay, I've got to address this, because now it's impacting my well-being and my everyday life. And you know that you need help at that point.
Once we've figured out what the symptoms are, how do you deal with it? Number one, you need to open up, talk to your near and dear ones. You need to go look for help. Yes, it could be someone who's just hearing you out and giving you a wise and good advice as to how to go about it. But you need to probably go online, look for sites which, I mean, if you have nobody else around to talk to, maybe just by yourself, go online, look up websites. There are a lot of help websites now available.
Yeah, and I think what we have done is in the booklet, we've referred you to certain sites that can help with anxiety. We have the Calm Clinic, so you can get practical tools. One of the key things with anxiety is making sure that we breathe right as well. While we're in the throngs of a panic attack, if we can train ourselves to get our breathing right, you know, that in-breath and that out-breath, and when we practice that, it refocuses ourselves and our minds away from the trauma at hand. So we can get little tips and tools. There are apps that you can get on your phone that can actually help you in terms of dealing with anxiety, that we can take all the help we can get that's available. And one of the questions here as well is, the two questions that I want to club together. One says, how can the church help people in a practical way? And the next question is, for mental illness, does a psychologist or a psychiatrist have to treat it? And who do we visit? If you had a problem with your heart, you would find out the best cardiologist in the city, right? Because you want someone that has a speciality in that subject to be able to treat you. Somehow we tend to disconnect our brain from the rest of our body. So if we have something that's not right in terms of the way we think and feel, and it has more than just an effect of us in terms of our thought life, but also on us physically, it affects our physiological being as well, we can be hesitant in terms of seeking the help that we actually really need. Now, how can the church help? I think in many ways, the vehicle for transformation in people's lives, God's design, I believe, is the church. And we can either put our heads in the sand and say this is all only a spiritual problem. There's no physical, there's no science behind it. Or we can be real about the fact that science is real. You know, your brain does produce a lot of chemicals. And when they work perfectly, you're blessed. And you're blessed even when it doesn't, because there's help at hand. And when you get the right help, it can just get all the hormones, get all of your biochemistry working well so that you can actually be in the right place. Now, do you need to go and see a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Are there loads of quacks around? Let me tell you, there are lots of people that you would never want to see. Really, let's be real. The same way in terms of cardiologists, there are lots of cardiologists that you would never want to go to. So you've got to be wise. in terms of who you see, when you see. You know, referrals are always important. Someone who knows the person. What we aim to do as we journey together is to have information online for people that we recommend. Therapists that we recommend, psychiatrists that we recommend, so that, you know, the help is easily accessible. But yes, you know, no hesitation. There is no shame in having an issue that needs help. And there's no shame in seeing anyone. Was there any other question that you wanted to deal with, Beena? What should we do when things are not going right and there's no support? You know, we can't suffer alone. And I think God designed us to live and be in community. And it's in community that we find healing and hope, and we find direction to lead us to the area that we need help in. So as we stay connected in community, you can find the places that you can go to get the help that you need. Because let me tell you, help is there. Most of the times we suffer alone and in silence, thinking it is only us. Let me tell you, 1 in 4 people on planet Earth have a mental health issue. It's not going to take rocket science to figure out if we just count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every 4th person has an issue. So it is not out there somewhere in the back of beyond. It's right here with us. The problem is we don't want to talk about it. Because there's so much stigma and shame surrounding mental health that we feel like we are not, if we're Christians, we feel we can't really be a proper Christian. If we're going through these challenges, we feel inadequate. But, you know, that's not the truth. We can be sick in our mind or in our body, and it's okay. We can get the help and we can recover. So, you know, it's a very prevalent problem which is why we're on this journey, to help people understand that, you know, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, right? Naomi, it's okay. You know, and then when we realize that we're not okay, that's when we can get the help. As long as we think we're okay and we do nothing about it, we stay in that place of denial, right? Not being authentic and real about the fact that there are issues that we need to address. So when we're real, we can deal with it. Great. Do you want to say something, Beena?
When we don't deal with the symptoms that we are seeing, we are letting it snowball. It trickles into our relationships. It trickles into our interpersonal relationships. It into the way we talk, into the way we address issues. As women, there's a pivotal role that we have in our families, and there's a lot we handle. As a new wife, as a new mother, and then as children grow up, and as your family is growing up, you have a lot to handle. So it's best that we see these symptoms and start working towards it. And there is, just like Naomi said, nothing wrong in addressing an illness, because once you've addressed it, it's more than half the victory.
That's right.
And then you're on the road to recovery.